came to jail Mann in 1977. I'll never forget coming up there for the interview. It was summertime, and nobody remembers this, but they had not renewed the contract on Coach Slayton, which was a former coach, and Coach Edwards, two of the coaches. And it was a big controversy that he went through a process. So they were hunting for a coach in July. And I can't remember when my interview was at. When I got there at the school, Charles Ferguson and Percy Lindsay, they were working with CETA program. CETA, I don't know what the acronym is.
CETA.
But they were outside. I'll never forget seeing those two guys sitting outside. Anyway, I ended up getting a job, and lo and behold, basically, nobody who's coming to jail at that time, remember, you didn't have middle school football. You couldn't play until you entered the 9th grade. So we had kids coming in that couldn't even put the equipment on right. They didn't know how to put hip pads on the rock backwards. The thigh pads, remember they had a little angle on them? They were putting them on the other side. I mean, and a lot of kids never had any experience with the game. And so fortunately, we had a few youth groups around. I don't know when exactly the CC Raiders started coming along. Eventually they came, but we did have a group in Pine Forest, I think that was the name of the neighborhood, that had a little youth football program over there. And then we had the Cherokee group over in the Wade Hampton area, which we got a few kids from there. And then until the CC Raiders came in, that was all we had. So it was only 6, 8, 10 guys that came in with any experience. And then of course the CC Raiders come along, and we start getting these kids coming from the CC Raiders. And I can tell you, if you coach high school football, and if you look at any great program, like you go over to Burns High School, or you go over to any of the Spartanburg schools who have middle school football programs, who are feeding kids into their program, not only are they running the same offense and defense, they're getting experience playing the game, doing the drills, learning the ball skills, working on strength and fitness on them. And we didn't have that. Now that's what we were competing against when we got into that beach boxing conference, which was Burns and Broome and those schools over there in Clinton, down there. Clinton also had middle school football. We didn't have any of that. So the impact of the CC Raiders was profound. And so these guys come in, they got ball skills, they got experience, they know what making contact and the combative nature of the game. But more than that, and this is really important, a lot of people don't realize this, you don't see this out there. They had discipline, they had been through good leaders. I mean, these were guys that were coaching the CC Raiders. They were good role models. They were leaders, and they were teaching these kids. Even though y'all might not have known it then, you were learning discipline, the hard work ethic. You were learning teamwork. These are things that you can't hardly teach. They are hard to teach. And here come these guys, and they already got it. They got all these skills ready to go. And it made a profound difference in our, and then that's when we really started. But early on, I mean, we made the playoffs our first year in 1977. In 1978, we just missed it. 79 and 80 and 81 were struggling years, I think. And then right after that, we were off to the races. Of course, a lot of people around 81, in comes, let's see, I think I'll take my dates right. Yeah, around 81, we get Dan Austin shows up. And let me tell you something, Dan Austin, I wouldn't be where I am today without Dan Austin. I mean, by the way, he's still a strength coach. I don't know if a lot of people don't realize this. He was in charge of football players at the University of South Carolina up until Spurrier left. Now he does all the Olympic sports now. Whatever the Olympic sports are, whatever they categorize the Olympics. I'm assuming track, volleyball, soccer. He handles all of those. Takes me to another level. And I got lots of great stories to tell about Coach Osborne. He was a godsend. But the CCC Raiders were a godsend. Like I told you, the difference was these guys came in and they had these traits already, and not just the ball skill, not just the fitness, not just the ability to know what the game was all about. That they had the discipline, they had the will to win. Now, that's another. People have no idea the will to achieve. I mean, that's a biggie. They had that hard work ethic. We didn't have to mess with it. And they came in and they were actually pulling all the other kids along. They started pulling the other kids along. And it made a huge difference. I think too, I can't overstate Coach Gardner, and I don't know who else helped them at that time, but they provided those kids, you and all those others, with those key traits that enables you to be where you are today. That discipline, that hard work ethic, that will to succeed, the will to win and to compete. I mean, that's a big deal.
I didn't have any idea much about the Citadel until I watched you coach, and I really understood now. Like, discipline is a serious thing in life. If you don't have it, you got to have self-discipline. But the team, me, jail man football, I remember wearing those shirts. The two-a-days, we sit around and talk about it. We had a guy, Tiger Paw, he's a doctor now. He was the benchmark at CC Raiders. He's a straight A student, and he's a medical doctor. So, God made sure, part of the discipline, you had to turn in your report card. And somebody to learn that at 9, 10, 11, 12 years old.
Well, it's interesting. In fact, I'm going to see Coach Pecan a little bit. I meet with him and the superintendent. We're going to tour the new high school down in Fountain. He was my boss for the last 20 years. I was in education. A lot of people don't know that. And he was on our staff at jail, man. Tremendous leader. And he's the one who brought me back to Greenville. And for 20 years, he was my immediate boss. I worked for him for 20 years. And I'm going to tell you, he was a tremendous leader. I'd do anything. But he was amazing. But he has this thing about, one of his little sayings is, kids won't care unless they know you care. And we use that all the time with our teachers and our coaches and all. Kids won't care unless they know you care. Well, let's go back to what you just said a minute ago. You had to bring your report card in. That little task right there of them making you bring your report card in is a two-way street. Discipline, commitment to team from your end as a player. Okay? You got to do everything right. You got to have a will to win. You're teaching these little things. Then the coach, on the other hand, showing you that he cares about you. Even though you might not like that, he is showing you that they care. I tell a story about I jumped all over this kid in a jail man in a PE class. He didn't dress out. I yanked him out, took him out to mom's house, gave him a tongue lashing. He wrote me a letter like 20 years later that made a difference in his life. And by the way, he didn't play any sports. He's just a student. And he just said how that you showed me that somebody cared about me. But those little tiny things made a huge difference. That right there, hey, bring your report card. He's making you make that commitment. He's showing you that he cares, and he's setting a good example for how to live your life. And there you go. I mean, I can't say anything better than that. And so Coach Gardner, he made that initial lesson and embedded in you and branded on you for the rest of your life.
Right.
So there you go. Today, a lot of businesses and organizations talk about culture. Okay, and that Coach Gardner set a culture for you. And notice now how you said that just then. Spanky and Mike giving Twan a hard time. Whoa, culture. Coach didn't have to say anything. The players did. The culture. He created the culture, the winning culture, and that's a big thing. It's huge. I mean, we talk about it even school administrators, principals, and all, developing a culture in school for learning. Okay, well, he developed in y'all a culture for winning and being successful in life. And here y'all are, 40 years later, and what do? You're talking about something that happened 40 years ago and how it impacted your life.